The man was born with a natural disability. The doctor even asserted that he wouldn't live past 20. But no one knew. The man possessed unparalleled martial arts talent. Any technique he merely glanced at could be learned. At just 10 years old, he had already become a martial arts master capable of creating techniques. But when the man showed the techniques he created to his father, he was met with insults. Do you really think you're a grandmaster? You killed your mother the moment you were born. Now, you want to use this trash technique to poison our whole family? After that, the man fell deeper into despair. I never wanted to be a grandmaster. All these years of practicing martial arts were just to make my body healthy. Suddenly, the noisy sounds in the courtyard interrupted his thoughts. Hurry up, I heard that the experts from the Central South sect are coming today. The Central South sect is one of the 9 righteous factions in the martial world. It is known as the foremost sect in Shaanxi. But the arrival of the Central South sect made the man even angrier. His father had already forbidden him from approaching the distinguished guests arriving today, just because he caused his mother to die in childbirth. How could such an unlucky person approach the noble? After some consideration, the man still slowly moved closer to the crowd. Looking from a distance should be fine. Maybe I can learn something if they demonstrate their skills. At this moment, several figures slowly walked into the Zheng family gate. The leading figure shocked everyone. He was actually a member of the ethnic group. The ethnic group is a legendary mysterious race. They possess immortality. To humans, they are like deities. Moreover, he had no fluctuations in aura. Such internal energy was completely contained within his body. It was simply terrifying. Seeing this, the man's father quickly approached respectfully to greet him. Your presence at my humble abode truly brings me great honor. I am Zheng Daming, the head of the Zheng family. In front of you is a lady. The child quickly responded that we should thank you for your hospitality. I am Elder Zhang Nan. Upon hearing this, Lushan realized this person was actually an elder. The people around bowed their heads in even greater respect. Zheng Daming quickly turned to invite Lushan into the house. At this moment, Lushan remained calm and unhurried. He turned his head and scanned the surroundings. Among them, he unexpectedly made a discovery. Then he pointed to the family head in front. Your son has clear eyes. He has great potential. He is someone who can be cultivated. Upon hearing this, Zheng Daming's expression changed. My third child has lacked proper upbringing since childhood. He is a problematic child. However, the man did not continue to stay there at this moment. Turned back to his residence. Seeing these people broadened my horizons quite a bit. The self-created martial arts have not improved during this time. I am troubled about what to practice next. Just happened to have an inspiration. Practicing swordsmanship is also a good choice. The few members of the Jiangnan faction who returned to the house began to discuss. The energy of this place is so good. No wonder the sword dominant sect wants to obtain it. Our counterattack plan is good. But I worry it will sacrifice this family. 2 disciples nearby immediately spoke confidently. We can deal with them before they enter the courtyard and resolve them. Upon hearing this, Lu Shan did not continue to speak. With a worried expression. Hopefully, that's the case. The sword dominant sect is our greatest enemy. Although I'm worried about this matter. Ever since I saw that child, I have been thinking about it. Among the crowd, only that child seemed so pure. What is so wonderful about him? As the night deepened, the man continued to study the martial arts. Why is my Bai Hui IQ point so large? After a year of cultivation, the energy in my head is still gradually increasing. If it continues at this rate, in less than 5 years, I will die. If I can't find a solution, I only have these few years to live. What should I do? Can I really stop death from approaching? Suddenly, A strong killing intent surged from the distant courtyard. The man looked towards the courtyard filled with blood, light. The intense killing intent continued to spread. Then he picked up his sword and hurried over. The closer he got, the stronger the smell of blood. And the courtyard is too quiet now. What exactly happened? What is at the entrance of the courtyard? Could it be a formation? In the next moment, he directly broke into the formation. This immediately left him stunned. Clearly, the servants who were alive during the day have now all become corpses. This surprised the man a bit. Such a thing happened in Zheng family village. I actually didn't notice. Could it be because of the formation? Suddenly, a voice came from behind the man. There are actually still people alive. You fool, you barely saved your life. You should have just hidden properly. The few people behind laughed loudly. Maybe he's just a short-lived ghost. Just send him on his way. The strong man in front gathered his internal energy. He stepped forward to crush the man's skull. This is your fate. Don't blame me. But the man showed no fear at all. He reached out and directly grabbed the strong man's wrist. With just a slight exertion of his palm, the strong man's hand was instantly crushed. This scene immediately made everyone around stop their actions. They looked over. A few quickly drew their long swords. Kid, who are you? But the man did not hesitate at all. He drew his long sword. And with one strike, he directly decapitated the strong man. Then he swiftly moved in front of the few people. The long sword in his hand kept waving. In a few quick movements, he killed 2 more people. Then he used his lightness skill again and arrived in front of the few people behind. The sword light continuously flashed across the bodies of the few. When the man stopped his actions, all the people were lying in a pool of blood. After killing everyone, the man finally let out a long breath. It was the first time using a sword. Today, it felt pretty good. At this moment, a few people slowly walked out again from behind. This kid has some skills. But that's just it. It's only these careless fools who would be killed by him. The man looked at the few people in front of him and spoke. Are you from the Blood Flame sect? The few people laughed out loud. The Blood Flame sect is those fools lying on the ground. We are subordinates of the Sword Dominant sect, the 13 most evil and powerful sects in the world. They are known as the 13 heavens. They are actually the Blood Flame sect among the 13 heavens, and sent by the Sword Dominant sect. Why did you come to our small place? You big powers come to our small county town. What do you want to do? At this moment, the woman surprisingly had not made a move. She just asked the man to leave. Hearing this, the man immediately laughed. You didn't attack me. And you still want me to leave. Do you know me very well? You should know. The #1 gang in the world is in the Imperial City. My mother's family, right? If you kill me, even the Sword Dominant sect would have to think twice, wouldn't they? Suddenly, a loud explosion erupted from behind the wall. Then a few people rolled out. They were actually disciples of the Central South sect who came during the day. Among them, Elder Lu Zhanjing of the Central South sect was also thrown out. At this moment, he could only support himself with his sword, barely standing on the ground. This shocked the man greatly. The so-called Sword Immortal of the Central South sect was actually in such a sorry state. Who exactly is the enemy? At this moment, a figure floated in the air. A man exuding a powerful aura slowly appeared. Who is he? This person radiated a terrifying aura that instilled fear. Just a glance from him was enough to make one dizzy. The few disciples of the Sword Dominant sect hurriedly knelt down. We pay our respects to the sect, master. The man trembled all over. He is actually the sect master of the Sword Dominant sect, the leader of the evil and wicked 13 heavens, the Sword Dominant sect. In the martial world, he is known as the calamity of heaven and earth. Such a person standing at the top of the martial world Why would he come to the small Zheng family village? Now everyone from the Central South sect is injured. If this continues, we will all die. Since we are all going to die, we might as well give it a try. In the next moment, the man unleashed all his power, charging forward. Seeing this, one person quickly drew his sword and stepped forward. But he was shot through the heart by the man with a single arrow. He then stood straight in place. Do you think you can kill me? Several disciples immediately took out their long swords. They were about to charge forward to kill. Suddenly, the sect master of the sword-dominant sect shouted to stop. Kid, you are more than everyone in this entire manor combined. All must excel, so I can spare your life. The man, however, was fearless. You dare not kill me, right? I am the grandson of the former leader of the Divine Sword Group of the Imperial City. As soon as these words were spoken, the crowd was shocked. His background is actually so terrifying. The royal family established the Imperial City, the first sect in the martial world to prevent rebellion. They are indeed quite tricky for me. But my sparing your life is not for this reason. I admire you, your talent and spirit. As a person of the martial world, you are capable of unifying the realm. If you have no connection to the Imperial City, I might even want to take you as my disciple. So I give you 1 day. Hurry and leave. I cannot allow other sects to enter this land again. Then, he turned and led the people of the dominant sword sect out of the courtyard. If you want to spar, I am always available. Hurry up and grow stronger. I am looking forward to it. Then the man quickly walked into the courtyard. Inside, he saw his father. Most of the brothers had already fallen in a pool of blood. Knowing everything that had just happened outside, Zhang Daming was incredulous. Why are you so strong? The man looked coldly at his father. Have you forgotten? I once said, I created my own martial arts. Zhang Daming's pupils suddenly dilated. My mistake caused the Zheng family to lose their divine skills. I am truly a foolish head of the family. Son, since you have such talent, I believe you can become a great master. Then he, unable to support himself, slowly closed his eyes. At this moment, the Zheng family was left with only the man, his second brother, and the youngest sister still alive. The man turned to his second brother and spoke. Take him to the Central South sect. This child has high comprehension. I will accept him. At this time, Lushan also walked over. Young hero, are you planning to go to the Imperial City? Why not go to Zhongnan Mountain with me? I will recommend you to be the sect leader. When the disciple said this, it shocked the people around Zhongnan Mountain. But Lushan continued, young hero, I believe you have this qualification. This made the man fall into deep thought. The direct disciple of the Zhongnan sect leader can learn unparalleled divine skills. Most importantly, the current leader of the Zhongnan sect is one of the top 10 swordsmen in the world. But then the man still clasped his fists and said, Senior, thank you for your kindness. I'm sorry for my choice. Madam Lu Shan said, you don't need to worry about it. The doors of Zhongnan are always open to you. I hope you can remember this. The man suddenly took Lu Shan aside to the Grand Elder. I want to ask you something. Do you know the method to obtain the worldwood fruit? Upon hearing this, Lu Shan was stunned. Worldwood fruit. Could it be that you, young hero, are unwell? Worldwood fruit. It is said to be an ancient treasure that grants immortality when consumed. If I obtain it and eat this fruit, will my remaining lifespan increase? Lu Shan then shook his head. I haven't even reached half of my lifespan. How would I know about the matters of the world tomb? Currently, the only person who possesses the fruit is the Lord of the Imperial City. This will not be easy. That thing is seen as a sacred object by everyone in the world. It is a holy item. Although the man's mood was heavy, his tone was still incredibly firm. But aside from that, I have no other way. I can only become the leader of the Divine Sword Group. and achieve great merit. Lu Shan clasped his hands and said, I can only pray for you from afar and cheer you on. I must return to my sect to deliver the news. You two help handle the aftermath here first. As the sun gradually rises, the man also picked up his luggage and said goodbye to the remaining few. After a while, inside Zhangyang City, the man had already arrived at the imperial city. A familiar person walked up to the man and said, Little brother, do you also want to enter the imperial city? It's the first time I've seen a challenger younger than me. My name is Zuan Yuan. I came from Shaanxi to participate in the imperial city assessment. The man looked completely bewildered. I can't believe there's an assessment to enter the imperial city. This shocked Zuan Yuan. You actually don't know about the imperial royal family? The imperial city is different from other ordinary sects. If you want to become an official, it's like taking a liberal arts exam. To enter the imperial city, you must take an exam. That's why so many people gather at the imperial city. Regardless of your background, the moment you enter the imperial city, you will have the opportunity to learn. Of course, martial artists from all over the world will flock here. In order to enter the imperial city, there are nearly 1,000 people participating in the assessments every day. So the assessment content is incredibly difficult. So, little brother, how about we go take the exam together tomorrow? The man saw someone introducing himself, which was hard to come by, and quickly agreed. The next morning, countless heroes swarmed in like ants, gathered at the entrance of the imperial city. In this first exam, if the examiner takes the token from your hand, you pass. Handing the token to the reception desk means you fail. The second exam is a martial arts competition. The third exam is an interview with the Lord of the Imperial City. Many martial artists come to see the Lord, specifically, coming to Zhangyang. To converse with such experts is a kind of opportunity. Perhaps just a few casual words could lead someone to understand the essence of martial arts. The examiner suddenly announced that the first exam begins. It's a test of quick swordplay. You can only use one move. Unleash your fastest sword technique. Then I, as the examiner, will judge. Zuan Yuan immediately excitedly ran out. I'll go first. The man felt a bit relaxed about this assessment. Use the fastest sword technique, huh? Sounds simple, right? And in front of him, Zuan Yuan was continuously condensing his internal energy, gathering it in the long sword in his hand. As he exhaled a breath, the long sword swiftly drew out with a whoosh. The onlookers immediately began to discuss. This martial artist is a bit different. I can't even see the sword being swung. Only a white flash of light passed by. After some consideration, the examiner directly took his token. After Zuan Yuan stepped back, the man also slowly walked forward. The people around felt something unusual. Is he really a candidate? He still looks like a teenager. Could it be that an adult brought him here to play? The man stepped forward. In the blink of an eye, he swung the long sword. But after the long sword stopped, the venue was suddenly filled with a wild wind. This scene not only shocked the onlookers, even the examiner widened his eyes in astonishment. When exactly did he draw his sword? I didn't even see the action of drawing the sword. The examiner gave the man the highest praise. You are the future number 13 of Lihuang City. Very good, I remember you now. You can leave now. Go back and wait for the second exam. Seeing the man walk out of the examination hall, Zuan Yuan hurriedly caught up. Are you a child of a prestigious family? The man stared straight at the city lord's mansion. What difference does it make? Once you enter Lihuang City, isn't it all about your own efforts? Soon, countless successful candidates gathered at the second examination site. Zuan Yuan began to introduce the second round to the man. What you need to remember in this round is, the focus of the competition is not to win, but to catch the eye of the masters from Lihuang City nearby. This is precisely the most difficult part. Because even if you win all your matches, you could still be eliminated. Today's assessment is still the hardest one in recent assessments. I heard that the White Killen also participated in the exam today. Before he turned 15, he single-handedly destroyed the notorious bandit group and killed the underworld master Wushake. At 18, he participated in the Dragon and Phoenix Conference of the Eight Great Families and defeated all the young talents of his age. This left the man somewhat puzzled. As a child of the Nangong family, he is already quite perfect. With such high martial skills, why still strive so hard? Zuanyuan quietly leaned into the man's ear. Maybe it's because he is a bastard and cannot become the head of the family. In Lihuang City, rising to the group leader can be comparable to the heads of the eight great families, or even hold a higher status than them. The existence of this place is to protect the order of the martial world. Suddenly, a loud shout. Nanyang, Xinyang County, Henan Province. Zheng Wenyan entered the room. Upon hearing this, the man walked straight towards the room, hoping to see him again in Lihuang City. Zuanyuan was taken aback for a moment, then shouted loudly, "It's settled then." Lihuang City. Seeing the man had just entered the room, a swordsman drew his long sword. "Kid, you are unlucky to encounter me. I am quite famous in the martial world." But before he could finish his words, the man swiftly dodged. With a swing of his sword sheath, he directly sent him flying out. This person is so weak that it surprised the man a bit. What kind of tough talk is he putting on? Suddenly, a figure in white slowly walked out from behind. "Can we start now?" The appearance of this person immediately sparked discussions among everyone around. Those in the imperial city also began to discuss. He finally appeared. Which of those high-ups would take him away? He is much stronger than us. From these discussions, the man also realized who the person in front of him was. This guy must be the White Kirin that Zuanyuan just mentioned. He looks about 5 years older than me. This mountain should be able to be overcome given time. Although I benefit from my power technique, my body is stronger than his. But I know I am inferior in other aspects. The White Kirin cupped his hands and spoke to the man. "I am Nangong Huakan from the Nangong family. I practice the family martial arts, endless sky, sword, and infinite steps. Please give me your guidance." The man also gripped his long sword tightly with both hands. "I practice the power technique from Zheng family village in Henan." The White Kirin quietly watched the person in front of him, not in a hurry to make a move, but still puzzled as to why he didn't draw his sword. At this moment, the man tightly gripped the sword hilt with one hand, striking a pose as if to draw his sword. It seems the White Kirin understood the situation. The long sword in his hand continuously gathered power. The man's internal energy was constantly compressed in his palm. The key to the sword techniques I have been practicing recently is to strike unexpectedly, to deliver a fatal blow when the opponent is unprepared. If luck is on my side, perhaps I can launch an attack on this rising star. Suddenly, both of them were ready. The examiner beside them shouted to start. In an instant, a flash of sword light passed by. The man's long sword directly swept past the White Kirin. But as the two sword lights collided, the long sword in the man's hand broke into two pieces. This scene was an outcome that no one expected. What is going on here? Did the White Kirin win? I didn't even see him draw his sword. At this moment, the man also stared blankly at the long sword in his hand. Where did the problem lie? But the White Kirin announced on the spot that I lost. A few officials in the imperial city saw the underlying truth. This kid's sword technique is astonishingly fast. And he is also 5 years younger than the White Kirin. The White Kirin slowly approached the man. "You didn't use your internal energy in your sword technique, did you? You can try it next time. There is a hidden dragon in Henan. Your future is limitless." One of the examiners stepped forward and spoke to the man. There is a garden to the north. Wait there. Before leaving, the man respectfully cupped his hands to the white Kirin in thanks. Please guide me again next time. The white Kirin smiled slightly. That line should have been said by me. Let's continue next time. The people in the imperial city were also somewhat puzzled. What a genius! But why didn't he use his internal energy on the sword just now? But they all didn't know. A few days ago, the man was still at home. A waste that everyone despised. Now, all his martial arts came from watching others and practicing martial arts. I didn't know before that I could do without it. But now I know that there is such a method. In the next moment, the internal energy within the man's body continuously gathered on the broken sword. A piercing sword cry erupted from the broken sword. The man just glanced at the broken sword in his hand, and it made him realize the true essence of the sword path that everyone dreams of. The sounds of sword cries continuously surrounded him. This scene shocked all the top masters in the martial world. He seems to still be a teenager, right? He actually comprehended the unity of man and sword. If he uses his sword technique in this state, it will unleash unparalleled power. At this moment, the man felt the connection with the sword and smiled as he opened his eyes. A voice appropriately sounded beside the man. Congratulations, you succeeded. And this person was the white Killen who just sparred with the man. This scene left the man somewhat stunned. Is he protecting me? Afraid someone would disturb my enlightenment. Then he slowly spoke, thank you for protecting me. And congratulations to young hero Nangong for passing the exam. At this time, Zuanyuan also stood up. With a face of grievance, I've been here for a long time too. But young Master Zheng, you also have a nickname now. Do you know that in the martial world, having a nickname is a very honorable thing. It represents that most people in the martial world recognize you. The white Killen also spoke up. I've heard about it too. It's a very good title. The nickname given to you by the warriors of the flashing shadow, the Imperial City, may accompany you for a lifetime. At this time, the man also became humble. I'm just a little guy who can use quick moves. The white Killen looked at the man with disdain. Then according to your statement, what does it make me if I didn't notice your attack? Soon, the third round of the assessment began. As long as you pass the last checkpoint, you will be warriors of the Li Imperial City. The man looked at the towering buildings and the living history. Renowned as the world's #1 master, to have a face-to-face talk with the Lord of the Li Imperial City. Then, based on the rankings, people continuously walked into the high building. But none came out without disappointment. Soon, it was the man's turn. He walked steadily towards the building. When he reached the highest floor, what came into his view was actually a woman lying on a wooden chair. Could she be the Lord of the Li Imperial City, the #1 in the world? Looking at the person in front of him, the Lord of the Imperial City spoke up. You seem to be the descendant of that child, right? The man was somewhat shocked, but still responded, yes. I am the grandson of the former leader of the Divine Sword Group. The Lord seemed to reminisce for a moment and smiled. That child could have become the chief of the Elder Council, but he preferred to do things his own way. However, you seem to be injured. The man was instantly stunned. Then he quickly recovered. This matter has nothing to do with the Lord. It's just some family matters. But that's not just trivial matters. It's just that you have trained well and have concealed your physical injuries. Moreover, you are only 15 years old now. But as an outsider, I really can't say much. You need to resolve your own issues. Then he stood up and slowly approached the man. I really admire you now. You clearly have a request. But it's truly interesting that you don't bow your head to me. The man instantly understood. He already knew my background in the Imperial City. Is it for a request? It's true that for such a peerless expert, Discovering my Danshan's Bai Hui point would be a piece of cake. Then I might as well ask him directly. For someone like me, can I survive after eating the fruit of the heavenly wood? The Lord smiled. Although the effects of the fruit are somewhat exaggerated, it can indeed fulfill your wishes. After confirming the information, the man spoke again. So can I obtain it? That depends on your performance. Now, you are a person of the imperial city. You can go out now. I have high hopes for you. The next leader of the divine sword group. Upon hearing this, the man walked somewhat dazedly on the way out of the building. The next leader of the divine sword group. I really can't tell if he is joking with me, or if he is truly acknowledging my potential, or perhaps he is hinting that as long as I become the leader of the divine sword group, I can obtain the fruit of the heavenly wood. Soon, the third round of the assessment ended. After the final round, only 4 people passed. The leader in front spoke to everyone. Do you know what the main purpose of the imperial city is? Zhuan Yuan immediately spoke up. Isn't it to suppress the rebellion of martial arts masters? The leader turned back to glance at a few people. That's partially right and partially wrong, but that is not our main job. Rather, it is the purpose of our existence. We still have many trivial matters to handle. That is, to prevent and suppress a certain scale of conflicts in the martial world. The fights in the martial world could lead to unknown consequences. If rumors of some unparalleled martial arts arise, the central plains will be swept by a storm of blood and gore. If it were just ordinary martial artists, it would be fine. But some demonic sects are different. You will see scenes like hell. Recently, the martial world has been quite unstable. It's not just the evil and heretical forces causing trouble, but also the righteous sects, including the 9 factions and 8 major families. This is a big problem. Ignoring them will not only endanger the common people, but could seriously threaten the operation of the country. So, the royal family provides you experts with huge resources, spiritual medicines and secret manuals. What you need to do in the imperial city is to take the heads of the martial artists who disrupt the livelihood of the people. Alright, this is your accommodation. After being assigned to each small team, you will move into the team dormitory. Soon a week passed. A knock on the door sounded. Then Zhuan Yuan walked in from outside. I heard the teams have been assigned. You and I are in the Demon Guanji team. On the second day at the Demon Guanji's martial arts arena, the man stood in the center with Zhuan Yuan. Surrounding them were martial artists from the imperial city in white and blue clothing. And standing in front of them was the leader of Demon Guan. In rumors, he is the first among the 17 captains of the imperial city. Ma Zhen was currently staring fiercely at the man. Are you the one called Flashing Shadow? The man, however, remained unfazed at this moment, staring intently at Ma Zhen. It was sudden. Ma Zhen started to laugh. Very imposing, huh? People like you generally don't die easily. The armed forces under the divine sword corps of the imperial city, just like the sects in the central plains. You will learn martial arts at Demon Guanji. Carry out missions. They are your senior brothers and sisters. But your unique martial arts are still unique. What we teach is the martial arts of Demon Guanji. Ma Guanji is very famous among the 17 teams in the imperial city. Very famous. Their martial arts are also famous in the martial world. They once fought against the elite masters of the Huashan sect, the 24 Plum Blossom swordsmen, and not a single person was injured. This incident established the foundation for the divine sword corps to be the best in the world. Ma Zhen continued to explain to them. The divine sword corps is a sect established by the royal family. However, attacking the divine sword corps does not count as rebellion. So you must keep learning here and work hard to become stronger. If you don't become stronger, you will die. There's another guy over there who, while on a mission, was struck by the first sword of Nangong. He can tell you about it. A young man in blue, sitting in the corner, spoke up. The imperial sword of the Nangong family. Indeed, it is a terrifying martial art. Seeing this person, the man felt it was unbelievable. The imperial sword is known as the #1 sword in the world. He actually fought against a master of the Nangong first sword and came back alive. Then the young man in blue slowly walked forward. Since you all are here, I'll test your martial arts. Let's start with you, Shadow Flash. I've heard your quick sword is exceptional. Let everyone see your strength. At this moment, the man also did not hesitate. Slowly walked out with his long sword. In the next moment, countless internal energies surged into the sword sheath. The young man also took out his long sword without hesitation. My name is King Ming. Please give me your guidance. The 15-year-old boy simply held the long sword, causing it to hum. This actually shocked all the top experts in the martial world present. They were all astonished. He is so young, yet has mastered the legendary unity of man and sword. As his own momentum continues to rise, the man swiftly drew his long sword without hesitation. But this sword did not strike the person in front of him as he had expected. Instead, blocked by the opponent, he immediately retreated to create distance. When exactly did he raise his sword? I can't be careless. The opponent is the #1 swordsmanship expert in the martial world, the person who escaped under the sword. However, I have also figured it out. His swordsmanship is not as formidable as I imagined. In the next moment, he swiftly moved back in front of King Ming again. Then he crouched and lunged forward, directly dodging King Ming's incoming attack. Then he immediately turned his back and came behind King Ming. The long sword slashed towards King Ming's lower body, but unexpectedly was still blocked in the man's gaze. King Ming's figure flickered, instantly disappearing from his sight. When he reappeared, he was already behind the man. He swung the long sword in his hand, but unexpectedly, the man seemed to have anticipated it, turning around to block the attack with the sword. Then the long sword once again stabbed directly at King Ming's forehead. This sudden scene caught King Ming off guard. The brim of his hat was directly blown away. With this sword cutting down the brim, the contest between the two came to an end. In just a few breaths of battle, the martial artists surrounding the royal city were left dumbfounded. At this moment, the man finally noticed the unusual expressions around him. Why does everyone have this expression? Even King Ming in front was so astonished by the young man that he couldn't speak. Kid, now tell us, how old are you this year? When asked about his age, the man immediately looked displeased. 15 years old, is that really important? The enemy won't show mercy because of my age. Right now, strength is the most important thing. Internally, he kept complaining. And besides, I won't live for many more years. What good is it to care about age? But he didn't know. Everyone present was shocked to learn his age. He is simply a monster. I've never seen such a genius in the Dragon and Phoenix Association. Even if he started practicing swordsmanship from birth, it's impossible to achieve such results. After Ma Zhenjian fully understood it, he directly took the two of them outside to practice their skills. After practicing the skills once, Zuan Yuan was already trembling all over. Ma Zhen also comforted him, saying it was good that he didn't collapse on the ground the first time. He has already surpassed most people. At the same time, on the other side, the man calmly ran through the skills several times. Seeing this, Ma Zhen called for him to practice the skills again. But it no longer held much significance. Have you already mastered the skills? Then you can proceed to the next step. Comprehend the essence of the demon-wide skill. Let Du Wu explain it to you. This thing is quite troublesome. Let me show you. Then Ma Zhen walked over to a nearby stone pillar. Look closely. You can see Ma Zhen gently placing his palm on the stone pillar, continuously gathering internal energy in his palm. Suddenly, a tremendous, true energy erupted from around Ma Zhen's body. Then he let out a light sigh and relaxed his entire body. In the next moment, he punched fiercely towards the stone pillar in front. The stone pillar that was struck by the fist instantly shattered into pieces. After Ma Zhen demonstrated, he turned to the two and spoke, to find the strongest moment of explosive power in the body. At which moment to unleash the fighting path is to draw the trajectory of everything in the simulation, to help you master your body. The man instantly understood. It's about letting me master. When I can unleash the strongest power. Ma Lan continued to explain. Although I showed you a trick, it doesn't mean you can do it right away. No one in this world can learn it just by looking once. This requires a lifetime of diligent practice. The man was somewhat stunned upon hearing this. A lifetime of diligent practice. But I can do it right now. Then he walked straight towards another stone pillar. This surprised the people around. Is he going to challenge it now? The young man is still too arrogant. At this moment, the man tightly clenched his palm. The long sword in his hand executed the unity of man and sword. As he continuously relaxed his body, patterns appeared on the stone pillar. Guided by the patterns, the man clearly saw the weak point of the stone pillar. In the next moment, his sword sheath stabbed straight towards that center point. Instantly, the outfit struck by the sword sheath shattered into pieces, just like before. After executing it, the man was also overjoyed. I have comprehended the essence of the fighting path, obtained the complete demon-wide skill. Now, it's just a matter of improving proficiency in actual combat. When he turned back again, he found everyone's expression was extremely terrified. The man thought it was because his power was insufficient. Humbly said it was the first time making everyone laugh. To truly unleash its power, a lot of practical experience is still needed. In moments of life and death, to use the demon-wide skill, ordinary training methods are not enough. But being able to learn it today, also thanks to Master Ma's guidance. Master Ma was stunned and didn't know what to do. After a long time, he finally managed to say a word. I need to think carefully about how to teach you in the future. The next day, Zuanyuan found the man out of breath and started gossiping. I heard the seniors had a fight with the Kangshan team's warriors. This surprised the man a bit. Isn't there a rule in the royal city? Warriors from the city fighting outside the training grounds will be punished. Why did they fight outside? Zuanyuan narrated with a mysterious expression. That when they were drinking at the bar, the Kangshan team started trouble, saying leaving you, in a certain broad sense, is a waste. That you need to go to the Kangshan team to showcase your talents. The man was also somewhat speechless. Is it really worth fighting over such a trivial matter? Young master, you are still young and don't understand the martial world. This is the essence of this martial world. Quickly settling scores. Even a casual remark can spark a conflict. Only by defeating those who block you can you make a name for yourself and roam the martial world. And shouldn't you be happy? The seniors of the royal city are angry for a new life. If it were me, I definitely wouldn't know what to do. The man suddenly realized this might be an opportunity to obtain the world that everyone dreams of. One must achieve great merits. This process definitely requires the help of companions. This is just the right opportunity to build rapport within the team. The man stood up directly. I think Brother Zuanyuan is right. The seniors drew their swords against each other for me. It can't just end like this. I want to meet the seniors. Zuanyuan hurriedly followed suit. That's right, just like that. Indeed, young master, you are a principled hero. Then, the man and Zuanyuan went straight to the training ground of Mo Guanji. The surrounding brothers, with bruised faces, were also somewhat puzzled. Old demon, you don't need to practice today. What are you doing here? Then the man walked directly in front of Ma Zhen. and saluted respectfully. Ma Zhen was also somewhat puzzled to see the two. Do you have any questions during your training? The man straightforwardly addressed Ma Zhen. I want to compete with the Kangshan team. As soon as these words came out, the expressions of the people around turned to fear. But Ma Zhen revealed a smile. It seems you know about yesterday's events. You don't need to be excited about that kind of thing. After thinking for a moment, the man spoke. I just want to experience the Kangshan sword technique that I have always admired. And I want to use Mo Guanggong to counter the brilliant sword techniques. Great master, please agree to my request. But the man's inner thoughts were not just these. To accumulate practical experience in Mo Guanggong, to witness superior sword techniques, and to gain the favor of the seniors. It's simply killing 3 birds with 1 stone. But Ma Zhen still warned. You have not learned the martial arts of the Kangshan team, nor have you fought alongside them. Although it's a competition, the Kangshan team will not hold back. The man was resolute in his will, and responded passionately, that's exactly what I want. Instantly, the surroundings erupted with excitement. Old demon, you need to have this kind of momentum. As long as you keep persevering, you will be the next great master of Mo Guanji. Ma Zhen saw that these young ones were so excited. I can only sigh and agree. This is a pill that can turn an ordinary person into an unparalleled master. Just swallow the pill, and the spiritual essence gathered between heaven and earth will continuously flow into the body. Even an ordinary person swallowing it will be able to possess the ability to sense any subtle clues around them. But to obtain the pill, one must challenge authority and defeat a stronger warrior. Seeing the man in white wanting to challenge the warrior in blue, the people of Lihuang City were also incredibly curious. There is a significant gap between the man in white and the man in blue. How many moves can this kid withstand? Moreover, he is still someone who just entered our Lihuang City. 10 moves might be a bit difficult. Ahead, the blue-clad warrior gazed forward. You are the white-clad one of Mo Guanji, right? The man respectfully returned the gesture, looking at the person in front of him. Many have spent decades transitioning from white to blue. It has taken them many years. So the blue-clad warriors in Lihuang City are definitely not inferior to the top masters of various sects. The blue-clad warrior slowly spoke. I have practiced the Kangshan sword technique for 20 years. Although this is just an internal competition, the sword has no words. I will not hold back. Then he directly drew his long sword, unleashing the aura that only top swordsmen possess. The man let out a light sigh, drawing his long sword. No need to think too much. A swordsman should fear nothing, no matter what kind of sword the opponent has. I just need to display my skills. In the next moment, the man swung his long sword, stepping forward, instantly arriving in front of the blue-clad warrior. The blue-clad warrior did not show weakness, blocking this attack. But the man's attack did not end. He swung his sword again. Closely following was the man's impenetrable sword light descending. With this series of moves, the blue-clad warrior could only be forced to defend. Seeing this scene, the surrounding Kangshan team and the leader of Mo Guanji were all incredibly shocked. This white-clad one's speed is so fast. As the man continued to swing his sword, he gained another kind of insight. With each step forward, and each swing of the sword, his true energy would also resonate. At this moment, he instantly comprehended a new technique. He lowered his body. Then the long sword extended upward. The sword body began to vibrate rapidly. After one sword strike, the man actually knocked down the blue-clad warrior's long sword. Seeing this scene, the surrounding warriors of the imperial city erupted in excitement. The white-clad one actually won, and with such a crushing victory. The man, however, remained indifferent. This was just luck. I suddenly comprehended a new technique. Plus, the fact that the opponent let me strike first from the beginning. The momentum that erupted was what allowed me to win this round. If we were to do it again, I can't guarantee I could win like this. Then the man cupped his hands and stepped forward. Thank you for allowing me to witness the Kangshin sword technique. The blue-clad warrior chuckled softly, picked up the long sword. Your swordsmanship and resilience surprised me greatly, then slowly walked towards the door. If you were a few years older, you could probably defeat me in just a few moves. Mo Guanji has truly acquired a treasure. It's enviable. Mo Guanji's big bamboo horse slowly approached the man. This is the Lin Dan of the Kangshin team that you won. He is now yours. After a while, within a certain Guanji territory, countless blue-clad warriors began discussing the recent battle. That kid is simply a monster. Of the Kangshin team, the strength of the illusion is impressive. That kid actually defeated him, and he could easily see through the opponent's martial arts. He's a genius I've never seen before. Once, I practiced alongside others. That kid just took a glance. Can use the same principle to perform. He can also improve it himself, with greater power than what I can unleash. Now, I don't even dare to use my unique martial arts in front of that kid. King Ming feels the same way. Yes, his comprehension is truly terrifying. At the same time, the man in the room was already sitting cross-legged on the mat. Ma Zhen was also beside him to protect him. I don't know how much of this spirit pill you can absorb. Generally speaking, you can absorb 6-7 layers. If you haven't reached that point, don't force yourself to absorb it. Acting recklessly will ruin your danshin. When your breath is unstable, I will step in to help you. So don't resist. Hearing this, the man quickly nodded and took the opportunity to swallow the Lin Dan. As soon as the Lin Dan entered the man's body, it instantly released a large amount of energy. In an instant, an invisible aura appeared around the man's body, isolating him from the surrounding air. At this moment, the man's body was like a black hole, constantly absorbing the spiritual energy between heaven and earth. Watching this scene, Ma Zhen was somewhat shocked. Is this really his first time absorbing Lin Dan? He was too skilled. He didn't need it all. After a while, the aura in the room gradually decreased. Ma Zhen spoke with a face full of cold sweat. Congratulations on absorbing all the effects of the spirit pill. This kid is too outrageous. No one has ever completely absorbed the effects of a spirit pill. At this time, the man sensed the changes happening in his body. After his internal power was enhanced, I can actually sense the movements outside the room. I can clearly tell where several people are standing. But why are the seniors all here? Are they protecting me while I absorb the spirit medicine? The man directly stood up and asked Ma Zhen. Are the seniors here protecting me? Why are they so nice to me? Ma Zhen smiled. It's not just taking care of you alone. As long as you are a person from the demon sect, everyone will help each other. Our relationship, after experiencing life and death together in the martial world several times, has become unbreakable. So the higher your martial arts skills are, the more beneficial it is for our demon sect. At this time, sensing that the man had finished absorbing the spirit pill, the blue-clad warriors also dispersed in groups. The man had just finished absorbing it and walked towards the training ground. I need to find out how much stronger I've become. At this moment, he saw Zhu Mai. Bai Mai Li looked at the man in shock. Old monster, you just finished absorbing it and came to continue your training? But you came at the right time. I just had some insights. Do you have time to spar with me? The man immediately cupped his fists in response. It is my honor to spar with Senior Bai. The female hero merely struck out a palm towards the man. Yet the man saw the secret behind it at a glance. Not only did he learn the technique after that, but he also found its weaknesses. And this set of skills is actually a secret, not passed down in the martial world. With just a light palm strike, He could break the opponent's protective energy. After parting ways, the man spoke to Zhu Mai. Senior Bai, I have been very sensitive to energy since I was young. From the earlier sparring, Senior, it seems you are not very good at using true energy. As soon as these words were spoken, Bai Mai Li was instantly stunned. You can actually see the flow of true energy. This is something that no one has ever accomplished. The man immediately shook his head. Although I can't see true energy, I can judge it by the intensity and diffusion when exerting force. I can determine. Bai Mai Li was still incredibly shocked. Even so, it is still very shocking. To my knowledge, only the one in purple can achieve this in the Power Emperor City. The ranking order in Power Emperor City is white, blue, black, and purple. The one in purple is already at the very top of Power Emperor City. The man continued to speak. But Senior Bai, I feel that your palm technique conversion, using internal strength, would be more appropriate. Upon hearing this, Bai Mai Li's expression changed. In your eyes, am I someone who can't even distinguish these things? I have my reasons for not using internal strength. But I still thank you for telling me this. After leaving the training ground, Bai Mai Li went directly to Ma Zhen's room. Master, have you talked to Shen Ying about the source of my martial arts? Ma Zhen was somewhat helpless. What are you talking about? I can't disclose such matters without consent. Could he have seen through it? Are you studying the long-lost heavenly demon divine art? Bai Mai Li immediately nodded. I feel that way. Ma Zhen slowly stood up. That kid is very special. You can't find anyone as outstanding as him in the entire martial world. If I were to judge, Shan Ying is the future of Power Emperor City. Do you really want to thoroughly study the heavenly demon divine art? For now, the best method is to seek Shen Ying's help. That guy has the ability to adapt any martial art to suit himself like a grand master. As soon as these words were spoken, Bai Mai Li's pupils widened. He actually thinks he has the potential of a grand master. Ma Zhen slowly nodded. Yes. The only thing that is still uncertain is his character. Recently, there happens to be a small task. This time, you should observe Shan Ying and his companions, how they went through a life and death crisis together, to see if he is reliable. After this test, I can be sure Shan Ying will definitely stand at the top of Power Emperor City within 5 years. So this time I need you old folks to see the character of the future superior with your own eyes. The next day, Bai Mai Li and Zuanyuan Qingming and a few men galloped on horseback along the official road. Soon, they arrived at the task location, the post station in Jinping County, Shaanxi. Before setting off, Ma Zhen introduced the intelligence of this task to the group. Recently, disciple of the Blood Rock sect has been staying in a certain village, regularly killing livestock and destroying crops. This matter was supposed to be resolved by the Shaanxi headquarters, but recently there was an incident of a spiritual herb being stolen from the Huashan sect, and that was a Zixio Dan that could rival the Shaolin Temple's great elixir. Because of this, it has caused quite a stir in Shaanxi. The branch office is short-staffed and has asked us to help handle these small matters. This is a middle-aged official in the post station, angrily scolding the newcomers. The newcomers had originally heard that you were the sword of the empire and were planning to treat you well. But what does it mean that you came here so slowly? And you sent over a few kids with you like this? Can you catch that culprit? Qingming immediately spoke to the group. Among these officials, there are always some who don't know the heights of heaven and earth, especially in such a small county. Too many people have never seen a martial arts master, so officials like them need not be polite. Hearing this, the middle-aged official was instantly furious. You dare to be disrespectful to a court official? At this time, the man did not hesitate. and directly pointed to the middle-aged official's mute cue point. "We are not here to listen to a drunkard like you. The one who gives orders is a useless person." Then he headed towards the village, and that middle-aged official, at this moment, could not make a sound from his throat. As soon as they entered the village, a few people noticed something unusual. Why are there still people in the fields at this late hour? When they focused their gaze, they saw a knife-wielding blood rock cultist, laughing while holding a child. The situation was urgent. The man had no time to say more. He quickly rushed into the fields. But unexpectedly, King Ming, who had set off later, in just one breath, surpassed the man who was running fast. This scene shocked the man. So fast. Could this be the lightness skill of the nation? Every step seemed as if his toes never touched the ground. Then Bai Miley followed closely behind, surpassing the man. Even Zuanyuan, after using his lightness skill, quickly rushed forward as well. Seeing this scene, the man immediately understood his shortcomings. "I have never paid attention to lightness skills. Because I grew up in Zheng family village, there has never been a real lightness skill displayed in front of me." And at this moment, in just a few breaths, King Ming had quickly arrived behind the blood rock cultist. He swung his sword fiercely, instantly sending the cultist flying, then snatched the baby from the blood rock cultist's hands. The cultist who received this blow was filled with fear. His palm trembled uncontrollably. The people from the imperial city, and they are in blue clothes. Seeing this, he turned and began to flee without hesitation. But unexpectedly, at this moment, Bai Miley had already arrived behind him, drawing her long knife. With no way to escape, he was suddenly engulfed in raging flames. In the next moment, with a leap, he transformed into a beam of light and shot into the sky. This sudden scene also shocked King Ming and Bai Miley. "What is wrong with this guy? Just seeing us. He used a technique that burns his life to escape. These guys from the Blood Flame cult are staying here. There must be a big problem." At this time, the man and Zuanyuan approached the two, panting. After settling the farmers, the few of them also found a place to rest. Bai Miley began to summarize this operation for the two. "Zuanyuan, although your martial arts have reached the white level, your stamina is very poor. You need to remember to focus on stamina training in the future. And Shanying, although your foundation is solid, but seeing how you run, I understand now. Right now, your only outstanding quality is your physical fitness. You haven't learned anything about lightness skill at all. You can't even catch up with Zuanyuan, let alone King Ming, who is famous for his lightness skill in the imperial city." King Ming looked at the young man in front of him, slowly lowered his head, and comforted him by saying that you don't need to be sad about your lightness skill. Then slowly walked forward. "Shanying, do you want to learn my lightness skill?" This left the man a bit stunned. "Can I learn your lightness skill?" King Ming immediately nodded. "Although I can't pass on my sex martial arts to you, but I can teach you lightness skill. And generally speaking, if it's just lightness skill, most people won't be able to learn it. But I believe if it's you, you can. However, don't be too happy too soon. In the realm of magic, no one has learned the skill of mine yet. I have taught many people in the training ground. Not a single one succeeded in learning it." Then King Ming stepped out and appeared on the tree as if flying. "This set of skills, I call it a step away from heaven." The man just glanced at the other party. Using the legendary lightness skill, step away from heaven, actually made him feel the natural power contained in the opponent's skill. In an instant, countless streams of energy appeared around the man's body, surrounding his body. Then he stepped out, suddenly felt his body incredibly light. At this moment, he dashed through the jungle like a sparrow. "This set of skills evenly distributes my strength and speed. While maintaining strong combat power, I can also move quickly." At this time, after dashing for a while, the man actually noticed something unusual ahead. In this deep mountain forest, there was actually a wooden house, and the owner was a red-haired person. Seeing this, the man planned to turn back. Finally discovered the blood rock cultists. Now, I will go back and tell everyone. But just at the moment he turned his head, he saw a scene he would never forget. This blood rock cultist was actually holding a child and gnawing on them. An incredibly bloody and shocking scene, like a heavy hammer smashing into the man's heart. At this moment, he had no intention of going back to report to his teammates, silently walked out of the woods. At this time, his eyes and expression became unprecedentedly fierce. Martial cultists, seeing the man walking out of the woods brightly, immediately dropped the dead child in his hands. You guys who established the Imperial City are truly relentless. But you are also a fool. A mere white-clothed one dares to come before me. You can die if you wish. Before he could finish his words, a flash of sword light instantly passed through the neck of the blood flame cultist. Then that blood flame cultist's lower body continuously sprayed blood. His head also fell off. After dealing with this person, the man felt no joy in his heart, but silently looked at the child's corpse on the ground. This reminded him of when he was at Zheng family village. His own family, also killed indiscriminately by these cultists. Scenes of family members dying flashed through his mind. The power condensed on the sword body became stronger. These beast-like guys absolutely cannot be let go, otherwise, they will harm more people. Child, wait a moment. After I finish all this, I will bury you. At this time, the man's internal energy had already gathered from the dantian around the body. Among them, the divine sense also locked onto the thatched cottage ahead. A sword energy erupted violently from the man's hand. Demonic, wide, absolute fast sword style. In an instant, the thatched cottage was struck by a powerful sword energy, instantly shattered into pieces. Among them, the blood flame cultist, who had no idea what was happening, was immediately cut into pieces. At this moment, the man showed no hesitation. Once again, he flashed to the front of a blood flame cultist. With a swing of his sword, he directly pierced the heart of that blood flame cultist. Aren't you blood flame cultists always advocating the survival of the fittest? How does it feel to be killed by a stronger opponent? Then he withdrew the long sword, bringing out a spray of blood. The body of the blood flame cultist also heavily fell to the ground. After this, blood flame cultist fell. The man then discovered that there was actually a hidden world inside this wooden house. He saw behind the walls of the room. A huge opening had appeared. And now, he clearly sensed that many auras were continuously approaching him from the cave. Could it be that this place is not just a hiding place for a few blood flame cultists, but rather the distribution of the blood flame cult? Before the man could think further, a group of blood flame cultists rushed out from the cave. You brat, you really have guts to dare attack our blood flame cult. Looking for death, huh? At this moment, the blood flame cultists were shouting angrily as they rushed. You will pay for the blood debt of our companions. And among these few people, there were even those cultists seen last night. The cultists saw a man in green, yellow, orange, and white clothes standing in front, and were equally astonished. You actually chased us here. Prepare to pay the price for yesterday. Seeing this, the man showed no hesitation, stepped forward, crossing the distance in an instant. He instantly flashed to the center of the cultists, then swung his long sword for a strike. Quickly draw the sword and slash, with sword energy slashing forward. In just a breath's time, the light formed by the sword energy flashed past the blood flame cultists. The blood flame cultists surrounding the man were instantly cut in half by the sword energy, gushing out a large amount of blood. After killing a few people, the man silently looked ahead. In the cave filled with red light. At this moment, harsh laughter echoed in the cave. A mere white-clothed man from the imperial city dares to be so arrogant, to single-handedly invade our blood rock cult's Shaanxi branch. Upon hearing this, the man said nothing. At this moment, he sensed the enemy's powerful aura and was prepared. Just then, a tall and thin figure slowly approached the man from the cave filled with red light. The moment this guy appeared, a chilling aura surrounded him. That was hard to describe. He was definitely not the same as those cultists from before. At this time, the figure was about to close in on the man. He was enveloped in black energy, with red light flickering in his eyes. When he stood in front of the man, he was actually half a head taller than the man. This guy's hair was not red, but was slowly returning to black, indicating that he had reached the realm of a master who can refine true energy. In other words, he is the minister of this Shaanxi branch, the top expert among them, known in the Blood Flame cult, leader of the Blood Flame sword. This is the title of the minister of the Blood Flame cult branch. They are referred to by the lower level folk in the martial world as the red-haired wraith. Not only cruel, but also highly skilled, often slaughtering villages and towns. At this moment, the Blood Flame sword with the skull-like face slowly drew his long sword. Are you ready to let your blood become my nourishment? The man never expected that the Blood Flame cult could be so cruel. Right in front of him, they were abducting and eating children. This reminded him of his family, who was brutally killed by the cult. In a fit of rage, he ended up slaughtering all the Blood Flame cultists. But unexpectedly, he had stumbled into the Blood Flame cult branch. And there was also the Blood Flame sword stationed there. Looking at the towering Blood Flame sword in front of him, the man immediately felt a sense of vigilance, facing it head-on. I definitely can't win. I have to take advantage of him getting close to me, and then strike first. Seize the initiative. Then the man found the right moment, and swiftly drew his sword to strike at the Blood Flame sword. But unexpectedly, the Blood Flame sword grinned. Does the reputation of the Imperial City make you so arrogant? Then gently swung the long knife to block in front of him. But this attack was much stronger than the Blood Flame sword had imagined. Caught off guard, the Blood Flame sword was directly pushed back by the man's strike, retreating repeatedly. Seeing this, the man did not hesitate to use the technique close at hand, far away, instantly catch up. In the next moment, using lightness skill, the man continuously circled around the Blood Flame sword, swinging the long sword. Such a dense attack made the Blood Flame sword somewhat exhausted in response. Kid, your strength is not bad. This mocking voice made the man think of the family back in Zheng family village again. At this moment, his internal energy kept climbing, gathering on the long sword. He struck fiercely. I am no longer the same as before. Then the other hand reached out to grab the Blood Flame sword. Subsequently, the internal energy gathered in his arm, instantly breaking its arm. The intense pain from the arm instantly made the Blood Flame sword furious. How dare you, kid? And this attack was exactly in the man's plan. The man immediately swung the long sword upward, directly chopping down its palm. The intense pain from both arms made the Blood Flame sword continuously scream in agony. The man stepped forward again with the long sword, instantly piercing through the Blood Flame sword's chest. In just a few breaths, the man, through his calculations, actually killed the long-standing red-haired Wuching in the martial world. The Blood Flame sword spat out blood. Looking at the man, I can't believe I would be killed by a mere white-clothed man. The man did not pay attention to the other. The long sword was instantly pulled out from his chest. And then he stood still, gasping heavily. After a period of rest, the man finally moved again, observing the surroundings. At this moment, the man discovered the distribution of the Blood Flame cult actually used a huge pit, piled with the civilians they had killed. most of whom were even just a few years old. Children. At this moment, the man could only feel sorrow for these people. To bury them. After a while, the man returned to the imperial city again. In the inn, where several people were settled. At this moment, he was carrying a child covered in blood on his back. Jung Yeonshin saw this. Quickly stepped forward to take the man's back. And took the child down. Isn't this child already dead? Bai Miley immediately asked what happened. Are you injured? The man glanced at the blood all over him, and said he was fine. This isn't my blood. I discovered the distribution of the blood flame cult. At this time, Bai Miley finally let out a sigh of relief. It's great that you're okay. What distribution of the blood flame cult? Where did you find it? The man immediately recounted his recent encounter. In detail. Before the man could finish saying that he killed them, the pupils of the two blue-clad figures widened, and they were stunned on the spot. You actually encountered the blood flame cult sword? I didn't expect there to be a blood flame cult presence in this place. Ming directly grabbed the long sword in his hand. No matter what the mission is, the blood flame cult's influence is a target to be eliminated in the imperial city. So we will set off now to eradicate the blood flame cult branch here. Shadow, this time it will be hard work for you. You should go rest first. I will go with Senior Bai to eliminate them. The man quickly spoke up, saying that the two seniors don't need to go. Just send the officials. As soon as these words were spoken, everyone present felt it was unbelievable. Shadow, do you mean that you killed everyone, including the blood flame cult sword? Is that true? The man immediately replied, yes. Senior, your lightness skill is extraordinary. It has helped me a lot. Bai Miley quickly spoke up. Those who have reached the blood flame cult sword level have a unique regeneration ability. You have observed carefully. Many people have a hard time defeating the blood flame cult sword because they don't know that their blood techniques have regenerative abilities. Will die from being attacked behind the city. The man directly brought up the package below. If we cut off the head, there should be no more worries, right? After the mission is completed, a few people immediately returned home to report to Ma Zhen. At first, I thought it was just a simple task. I didn't expect there was a branch's existence. Maybe this is a good thing. Let the white-clad ones feel the crisis of life and death. The two in blue suddenly felt a bit awkward. Life and death crisis? Well, we haven't had the chance to take action yet. Shadow went out alone to scout. Then he wiped out the blood flame cult branch by himself. As soon as these words were spoken, Ma Zhen's expression stiffened. So, there was really no life and death crisis for them to face. Qingming and Bai Miley could only awkwardly nod. Meanwhile, the man who had just returned to Lihuang City was thinking with a gloomy expression about the news he had just received. The former leader of the Divine Sword Group has returned, and he brought back a young boy. That boy is the rumored adopted son of the Ruohuang Ma family, and that Ruohuang Ma family is the maternal family of the man's mother. However, no one from his mother's family has ever come to Kaoxian to visit the Zheng family. Even during the wedding, no one attended. Even when my mother died in childbirth, no one came to visit. It seems that they have already severed ties with my mother. The next day, Ma Zhen immediately summoned the man. The city lord has heard that you completed the mission and wants to see you. As the two just walked out of the magic martial arts arena, it immediately sparked discussions among the warriors of Lihuang City. I can't believe it. Shadow is so young. And he single-handedly wiped out the blood flame cult branch. Seeing this, Ma Zhen explained to the man, being able to single-handedly annihilate the blood flame cult branch already qualifies you to be among the experts of Lihuang City. So keep up the good work. However, the man paid no attention to these praises. I am different from them. I don't have extra time. Before I turn 20, I must train to the strength of the leader of the divine sword sect. There is still a long way to go. From white robes to blue robes, then to black robes like Ma Zhen, and finally, to purple robes, to become the leader of the divine sword sect. Just arrived at the main gate of Lihuang City. The two heard some conversations. I remember, you have a grandson, right? City Lord, how powerful can the bloodline of a mere estate owner be? It's a blessing if he doesn't bring shame to Lihuang City. This child beside me is the true heir. Although he is just a collateral relative, his talent is outstanding. After knocking on the door, Malin strode into the room and saw an old man with a young man standing beside the city lord, chatting casually. The man immediately recognized the old man in front of him. He is my grandfather, the former leader of the divine sword sect. The man was only in front of the lord of Lihuang City, revealed his identity, which shocked the former leader of the divine sword sect and the grand master of magic, Guanji, immensely. You are actually my sister's son. Upon hearing this, the man was stunned in place. He never expected that the Grand Master of Magic, Guanji, whom he had been with for so long, was actually his uncle. At this moment, he could only sincerely apologize. I didn't know about my mother's family situation, so I didn't know you. Moreover, a wrecked family has been exterminated, leaving no source of information. The leader of the divine sword sect and Ma Zhen were once again stunned. What did you say? The Zheng family has been exterminated? Looking at their reactions, the man also came to a conclusion. The Ma family might really not know that the Zheng family has been exterminated. The leader of the divine sword sect, Ma Shan, was stunned for a long time, but still asked this, "Can you give me a little time to talk to him alone?" At this moment, the man stepped forward and said loudly, "Although I am the son of your Ma family's married daughter, as a warrior of Lihuang City, I can only show respect for the achievements of my grandfather. Aside from that, I don't want to discuss any personal matters." The city lord, witnessing such a dramatic scene, also recognized the man's resilient qualities and immediately praised him. "Shan Ying, your spirit is quite impressive." But at that moment, a shout interrupted their conversation. The young man brought by Ma Shan shouted, denying it. "How could such a person be a direct relative of my grandfather? And how dare you be so disrespectful to the former leader of the divine sword sect?" The man calmly looked at the furious young man, as if he had forgotten that they were still in front of the city lord. He then spoke, "I don't need your acknowledgement. And I am not a member of the Lihuangma family. I am now the shadow of magic Guanji." As soon as these words were spoken, they immediately infuriated the young man. "You dare to mock the Ma family's grandfather? Please allow me to duel with this kid. I want to prove to him that bloodline has no value." The man directly interrupted the two in front. "You don't need to prove anything to me. Since you want me to know you, I am willing to accept your request. But I have no need to prove my worth to you and your family." After watching for a while, the city lord also spoke, saying, "Let's end your argument here. Ma Shan is a confidant who has accompanied me for many years. Shan Ying is also a subordinate with great potential for the future of the imperial city. Since the conflict between you two is significant, then resolve it in the way of warriors. The stakes are what each of you desires. Shan Ying, I know you have no advantage. So as a true friend of Ma Shan, I agree to you. Regardless of the outcome, I will fulfill one of your requests." Upon hearing this, the man's eyes lit up. "Can I even get that thing I want?" The city lord shook his head. "That won't do. Even if the retired Ma Shan asks me, it's the same. Only the merits of the leader of the divine sword sect can earn it. But I can teach you my renowned skills." As soon as these words were spoken, everyone present was astonished. The city lord, known as the best in the world, is teaching martial arts. The young man, however, showed a smile at this moment. It seems this kid doesn't plan to help his grandfather after winning the match, but instead wants to propose learning martial arts. My grandfather would never allow such a person to be the heir. Although I couldn't get the Millennium Wood fruit I wanted, the city lord's martial arts are also a good thing. The man immediately agreed. Then, the few of them went directly to the training ground in the city lord's mansion. Only I use this place. Today, you all use it. The young man unhesitatingly put on the gloves from his waist, preparing to display the Ma family's ultimate fist technique. The man glanced at the former leader of the Divine Sword sect standing nearby. For me now, magic Guanji is enough. So there's no need for the Lihuingma family. Then he pointed forward with one hand. Come on. The young man was immediately angered by the man's contemptuous tone, directly charged forward. You guy. Dare to be so arrogant. Then came in front of the man. The gloves in his hand continuously gathered power. But when he threw a punch, the man simply clapped with one hand, easily dodging the attack. Then used the technique, within reach of heaven, instantly flashed to the young man's back. At this moment, the man had already seen the other's depth. This guy, although his martial arts aren't that great, but perhaps due to consuming a lot of spiritual herbs, his internal strength is much stronger than mine. The young man saw the man dodge the attack. Without hesitation, he gathered power in his fist again. The man also did not hesitate. Unleashed his self-created internal skill, Zheng Jia Gong. With the support of internal power, and within reach of heaven, he easily dodged the attack coming from the young man in front. But this only made the young man even angrier. You coward, who only knows how to dodge. The man, however, remained deaf to the words, continuously dodging the opponent's attacks. This is the true strong fist, Ma. Although he has a reckless personality, he has practiced prestigious martial arts. His attack power is still not to be underestimated. As the young man's attacks became faster, he could no longer hold his temper. Why don't you draw your sword and fight? Then the young man gathered all his internal strength into his fist and smashed out a heavy punch. But the man still lightly blocked the attack with one hand, then used lightness skill, retreating backward. Seeing you use fist techniques, I also remembered a set of fist techniques. Just now was only a test. The next 10 moves will be enough. Beside him, the leader of the Divine Sword sect, Ma Shan, heard this. Being able to defeat him within 10 moves is already considered exceptional talent. But Ma Zhen, who understood the man, knew that the man's meaning was not this. What he meant was not to end within 10 moves, but to create a set of fist techniques within 10 moves. The man is merely competing with the master of fist techniques. In just 10 moves, he actually created a set of skills that could be famous in the martial world. This scene left the lord of Li Huang City and the former leader of the Divine Sword sect feeling incredibly astonished. At such a young age, to be able to create such techniques after just 10 exchanges. The young man in front was not angry at this moment. Since that's the case, I will use my strongest techniques. In the next moment, he clenched his fist with one hand and displayed the techniques of the wild horse family and the fist method. Watching the opponent's momentum continuously rise, the man couldn't help but admire him, not being provoked by my words, instead, calmly adjusting his mindset, feeling the fluctuations of true energy from him. He must have received strict guidance from his grandfather. The man slowly spoke. The so-called fist techniques are techniques that can be used at any time according to the situation. So don't pay too much attention to the moves. Give it your all. You can show me many new things. The young man was directly provoked by the man. Stop boasting already. In the next moment, his body shot towards the man like a cannonball. At this moment, the man no longer avoided, gathering his internal strength in both hands. Then with one punch, he collided directly with the young man's iron fist. After merely taking this punch, the young man was pushed back several steps. This guy is so strong. The man at this moment was unhesitating. Once again charged forward. This scene left Ma Zhen extremely shocked. After his punch, his internal strength, surprisingly did not disperse, but instead, gathered again. It was simply unbelievable. He is only 15 years old. The second style of fist techniques that the man created himself was already prepared. Seeing this, the young man who couldn't react in time could only passively defend. But unexpectedly, the man's attacks were getting stronger and stronger. A punch directly broke through the young man's defense. The three people around quietly watched this scene. This set of fist techniques. Could it be that it just came from the Hahua fist techniques? Did you gain any insights? A technique stronger than the last punch. It's like gathering strength. After the young man took this hit, he could only keep retreating. At this moment, he saw his grandfather, who had taken care of him since childhood, felt a sudden heaviness in his heart. Quickly steadied himself. The power in his fist gathered again. The man noticed this. Immediately said, "Go ahead. Show your true strength." The young man became even angrier upon hearing this. With a fierce palm strike, he smashed towards the man. The man pivoted on his foot. A punch was thrown towards the opponent's palm. Technique. Under this punch, it directly opened up the young man's fist. His whole body uncontrollably retreated backwards. In the next moment, the man directly followed the young man's retreating steps. A palm technique actually formed in his hand. I didn't expect he had something new. Palm techniques are really interesting things. Seeing the man use the palm technique, several top experts from the martial world were greatly shocked. Just a glance actually created a palm technique. This quick striking palm directly knocked the young men back several meters. The former leader of the Divine Sword Group, Ma Shan, was immediately shocked. He was defeated so easily. Seeing that the young man in front was already unable to continue fighting, he collapsed to the ground. This kid is simply too terrifying. The more times they fought, the stronger the fist technique he creates. And to be able to create new martial arts in such a short time, I have lived for so many years and have never seen it. After the man stopped his attack, he continuously felt the flow of true energy within him. The martial art created this time can be considered a signature skill, right? The Lord of the Power Emperor City slowly walked forward after he stopped. This is truly a rare match to witness, and even created martial arts during the competition. The man quickly turned back and humbly said he was truly ashamed. "I don't know if I have offended your eyes." The Lord of the Emerald Emperor City chuckled and said, "If this can be considered offending my eyes, in the past, there was nothing worth seeing. What is the name of your fist technique in this competition?" The man spoke. "Wuji fist technique." At this time, Ma Zhen also stepped forward to congratulate him, saying it was hard work to compete. "This time, you created a great martial art." The man shook his head. "I have only created a framework now, but I am not satisfied with the techniques in this martial art. Moreover, using palm techniques relies on magic-wide skill." Ma Zhen looked at the man helplessly. "Now, in white clothing, there are not many who can take your strike. Although I have always told myself in the past not to be intimidated by your talent, your speed of growth still surprises me." Upon hearing this, the man did not feel proud or complacent. "Is this fast? But I only have 5 years. I must be faster." Unexpectedly, at this moment, the former leader of the Divine Sword Group actually walked out. "What must I do for you to forgive me?" The man, right in front of the Lord of the Imperial City, created a set of fist techniques. causing the former leader of the Divine Sword Group to admit his mistake on the spot. It must be known that those who can become the leader of the Divine Sword Group are all top experts in the martial world. They can even control the life and death of most people by manipulating their internal energy. Such a person, standing at the top of the food chain, actually bowed his head and admitted his mistake to the man. After some consideration, the man calmly replied, "Grandfather, you are putting a heavy burden on me. In the past years, I have never seen you. This matter is irretrievable. For me, now my mother's family is just like other unrelated people. Now I'm already a martial artist of the magic-wide skill in the Power Emperor City. They are my family." The former leader of the Divine Sword Group, Ma Shan, was dejected. "Our relationship can be cultivated slowly." But the man directly refused. "I don't even have enough time to practice martial arts. Just now, your grandson was being arrogant and wanted to duel with me. Now I have won against him. So please respect me as a martial artist." Seeing the atmosphere on site become awkward, the lord of the imperial city immediately stood up. "The eagle has already won the duel. Then I will arrange the rewards. I will teach you the martial arts you want to learn. Moreover, you can also make a request to the Li Huangma family." Upon hearing this, the man immediately agreed, saying that when he needs it, he will inform the Li Huangma family through Ma Zhen. Ma Zhen looked aggrieved, saying, "I just came to watch the show. What, am I becoming a messenger for my nephew and the Ma family again?" After a while, Ma Zhen and the man set off on the journey back to Mo Guanji. At this moment, Ma Zhen seemed to have made up his mind and seriously called out to the person ahead, "Shan Ying, I have a task that needs your help. It is the task regarding the Zixio Dan. It is known as the treasure of the martial world, the spiritual medicine of the Huashan sect. Currently, the Huashan sect has lost the Zixio Dan. Countless sects and martial artists are eager to obtain the Zixio Dan and have started to stir. Now, the martial world is in chaos again. So, we need to search for the Zixio Dan together with the Huashan sect. And the Li Huangxi are ostensibly looking for the elixir. But in reality, we need to reduce disasters." The man began to think about the gains and losses of this task. "I heard that this dispute has caused quite a stir. In actual combat, we might need to use swords." Ma Zhen sighed and replied, "Yes. But I think this task is very beneficial for you. This is an opportunity to spar with famous martial artists from all over the world. If you leverage your qualifications and characteristics, you can achieve a realm far beyond what hard training can provide." After a while, the small team formed by Mo Guanji entered the territory of Xi'an. Zuan Yuan felt a bit regretful at this time. In order not to let others know that Li Huang City is helping the Huashan sect, we cannot wear the martial attire of Li Huang City and cannot flaunt our power. At this moment, suddenly, a group of people dressed in white martial attire walked out. "You are the experts from Li Huang City, right? We have been waiting for a long time." Looking at the person in front of him, the man immediately recognized him as Chuan Puzan Ren. He is the leader among the Plum Blossom Swordsmen, and is also a well-known super expert in the martial world. This time, Li Huang City has even sent Haiyi Ma Zhen personally to cooperate with his level. Upon seeing him for the first time, I felt that his martial arts were on par with Ma Zhen. Chuan Pu then looked at the two blue-clad individuals behind Ma Zhen and continued, "They are all familiar faces, so there's no need for introductions. I understand Li Huang City's thoughts on this matter, but you actually brought your disciple along." Upon hearing this, the man immediately understood. He was too young. The other party didn't see him as a member of Li Huang City. Instead, they regarded me as Ma Zhen's disciple. Seeing this, Ma Zhen was about to explain, But unexpectedly, the other party pushed forward with his palm. That disciple from Li Huang City seems to be quite skilled. How about we have a match with our sect leader's disciple? Let's consider it a meeting program for both parties. At this moment, Ma Zhen also understood. It seems they want to give us a show of strength. After all, we need to act together. It's awkward for experts to spar. Do they want to determine the hierarchy based on the future of the sect? Then Ma Zhen directly turned to look at the man. At this time, the man also understood. He immediately put down the package in his hand. He picked up his weapon. Suddenly, from the crowd on the other side, a rebellious voice emerged. Master, are you going to cause trouble again? Can we settle this in 5 moves? Chuan Pu, in order to take care of the other party's face, quickly explained. You can learn a lot from sparring. Give it your all. However, the other party became even more arrogant. I don't know what they have that I can learn from. Their martial arts don't seem impressive. The man, however, walked forward with a serious expression. Seeing the other party so arrogant, how profound is the Huashan sect's martial arts? He then asked the young man in front of him. You say you can defeat me in 5 moves? The young man looked disdainful. You've hurt my pride. Sorry, I don't mean to underestimate you. I'm a bit tired from this morning's training. I unconsciously said this. I am Huashan sect's Huaguang Zuanyuan, and upon hearing this, they were shocked. Huaguang is the hidden dragon of the Huashan sect. It is said that he is the sect leader's recognized extraordinary talent. He is called the future of the Huashan sect. Moreover, there are rumors in the martial world that he has already begun practicing the Zixia divine skill. This guy, who has been famous in the martial world for a long time. Can Shadow really defeat the opponent? At this moment, Shadow was already prepared, looking straight ahead. The white-clad shadow of the magic of the royal city. Please give me your guidance. He is hailed as the once-in-a-thousand-years genius of the Huashan sect. The young man, upon seeing the man for the first time, declared he would defeat him within 10 moves. However, his boastful words seemed like a joke in front of the many martial artists of the royal city. At this moment, hearing the man claim to be from the royal city, the white-clad Huaguang was slightly taken aback, but quickly regained his composure, because he did not believe there could be anyone in this world comparable to his talent. In the next moment, he immediately used the Huashan sect's lightness skill, appearing in front of the man in an instant. At this moment, countless palms appeared before the man, waving in front of him. Is this the Huashan sect's falling shadow palm technique? The moves are varied, making it hard to distinguish which palm is the real attack. He, at this moment, also did not hesitate to use his self-created fist technique. The first move of the Wu Jigong, falling immortal. In an instant, golden inner strength erupted around his body, colliding with the blue inner strength of Huaguang in front. Just as they collided, Huaguang sensed something was wrong. Why is this guy's strength so great? But before he could react, the man had already used his lightness skill to arrive in front of him. After the man got close to him, he stomped down hard, instantly shattering the inner strength that Huaguang had gathered. Then, a punch came straight at Huaguang. The second move of the Wu Jigong, striking unexpectedly, Huaguang hurriedly used the follow-up moves of the falling silver palm technique to block. Seeing the palm technique used by the opponent, the man also felt something at this moment. I have already gained some insight into the third move of my Wu Jigong. In the midst of quick actions, the man said to Huaguang, let's exchange a few more moves. I want to go for about 10 moves, countered by the other party with his arrogant tone. Words that cannot be refuted at this moment. Guang's anger grew even stronger, but the man remained calm as still water, continuously gathering inner strength in his hands, unleashing the third move of the Wu Jigong that he had just comprehended. Seeing such a powerful move, the elder of the Huashan sect, Xuanpu, was extremely shocked. What kind of martial art is this? It's even stronger than our Huashan sect's Luo Yingzhang. At this moment, the man threw a punch. In the air ahead. It actually triggered an explosion formed by inner strength. As those inner strengths exploded in the air, Guang was directly blown away by the explosion. After taking this hit, he was even more powerless to stand up. He could only lie on the ground, gasping for breath. The scene left everyone in the Huashan sect extremely astonished. He was defeated in just 3 moves. Is he really the one we know? The genius praised by the sect leader as a once-in-a-thousand-years talent. At this moment, the man was immersed in his own thoughts. That attack just now can be considered the 3rd move. I will name it the 3rd move of Wujigong, Punch Flower. When he came back to his senses, he realized the shocked gazes of everyone in the Huashan sect around him. What exactly happened? This young man only used 3 moves. Who exactly is he? Why have we never heard of him? Xuanpu, seeing Guang defeated so miserably, felt a bit angry, instructed his subordinates to bring him back. Then turned to speak to Ma Zhen. The imperial city has raised a hidden dragon. It seems the martial world will be suppressed by you for many years to come. But Ma Zhen disagreed, feeling this metaphor was a bit excessive. As long as you don't act against the common people, we in the imperial city will not take action. Xuanpu immediately turned away disdainfully, not wanting to argue with him. The excuse of the imperial city has not changed for so many years. Your name is Shanying, right? The one in white from the imperial city. Today, you have shown me extraordinary martial skills. Although it is somewhat similar to Huashan's falling shadow palm technique, you couldn't have practiced Huashan's martial arts. I didn't expect there to be such martial arts in the world. But today, this is also a good thing. It can stimulate the lazy disciples of the sect leader. If you have to leave the imperial city for unavoidable reasons, then you should do so. Huashan is willing to treat you as a distinguished guest. Upon hearing this, Ma Zhen immediately angrily said to Xuanpu, "You've crossed the line." At this moment, Xuanpu also realized he had misspoken. He quickly apologized. "I admit, just now, greed clouded my judgment. I made you look bad. With such an outstanding young person appearing before me, how could I not be moved?" At this moment, 2 men in blue behind had already noticed something was off with the man. Shanying's body could no longer hold on. His internal energy was exhausted. Indeed, the previous move used up all his internal energy. All moves of Wuji Fist consume a lot of internal energy. This is a huge burden for my body right now. It seems I can only use my sword in actual combat later. Soon after returning to the inn, King Ming straightforwardly offered his opinion. You need to quickly open your Zhong Danshan. Since your internal skill is insufficient, you can only supplement your endurance. The man, however, looked a bit confused. What is this Zhong Danshan you speak of? Bai Miley then appropriately interjected. You actually don't understand the function of Zhong Danshan. This is an effect that even having a Danshan in the head cannot provide. Once you have it, your internal energy will become more solid. Upon hearing this, the man was still puzzled. Internal skill becoming solid. What does that mean? Bai Miley could only explain it in detail. It means improving efficiency. Have you heard of the saying that experts can battle for 7 days and nights and not get tired? They have cultivated their Zhong Danshan to stabilize the flow of true energy, allowing them to perform several powerful moves. Even when receiving strong attacks, it won't interrupt the flow of internal energy. This is also why King Ming could spar with the number 1 sword of Nangong. So what you need now is to learn. The man immediately asked Bai Miley, is there any way to open the Zhong Danshan? If you continue to practice, the lower Danshan will open automatically. It's best to focus on the upper body during regular practice. Breathe and adjust your energy. At this moment, the man couldn't wait to take it slow. He immediately stood up and asked, "Sister, is there a faster way?" The man suddenly called out, "Sister," caught Bai Miley off guard. In an instant, a blush appeared on Bai Miley's face. As if she was enjoying being called sister, the man simply called out "sister" to the heroine in front of him, and unexpectedly made him learn the method to open the Jung Yeonshin that everyone in the martial world dreams of. After obtaining the Jung Yeonshin, the internal energy will be continuously compressed. This is a skill that must be learned to become a top expert. At this moment, Detective Ma returned to the inn after gathering information and released a shocking piece of news. The criminal who stole the elixir is the Black Ghost, a notorious thief known throughout the martial world, and the one who stole Bai Miley's family heirloom manual. As soon as these words were spoken, startled the people around them. This guy actually stole Elder Bai's martial arts manual. Ma Zhen immediately issued orders to the group that from now on, we will systematically destroy the martial art sects related to the Black Ghost. Then, while we attract their attention at Huashan, we secretly infiltrate these sects to investigate. The man was momentarily taken aback. Under what pretext do we go provoke these evil sects? At this moment, Kingming actually burst out laughing. He laughed heartily. It seems you don't really understand these evil sects in the martial world. They even take over their own bases by robbing others. They have not received any recognition from the court. From our perspective, they are just thieves robbing common people. There is no need for any justification. These parasites that gnaw at the country, the reason we haven't completely eradicated them is simply because new ones will appear after killing a batch. This time, we will target 5 sects. I will take charge of 2 of them. The man immediately said, "I want to complete the mission alone this time." Ma Zhen shook his head. At this moment, it's too dangerous for you to go alone. Dealing with the sect alone is another matter. The most unpredictable is group combat. Even top experts can be defeated under a sea of people tactic. The man's gaze was incredibly firm, yet even so, I will eventually need to act alone in the future. Upon hearing this, Ma Zhen fell silent for a long time before saying, "All right. In that case, let's distribute the tasks this way. Your target is the Mantis sect in the Lianhu district of Xi'an. I have inquired about them. They are a group of extremely vicious guys. They have been engaging in robbery in the area. The mission objective is to go alone and wipe out their entire sect." Soon, a servant led the man to the Lianhu district. Looking at the young boy ahead, he felt it was unbelievable. Are you really not going to reconsider? The Mantis sect is not an ordinary group. They have dozens of martial artists. I heard that even a small minion can sweep through the Lianhu area. The man immediately reassured him. Just make sure to explain their detailed intelligence. The teacher quickly reported back. They emerged 3 years ago, after pacifying the Lianhu County area. Even the county magistrate obeys them. Moreover, they use a wide variety of martial arts and weapons. I have only scouted them from a distance before. Their movement is very fast. It's hard for the eyes to keep up. Once, someone was beheaded by them with a single strike. Now, the entire Lianhu County is under their control. Outsiders can't get involved at all. The man immediately compiled this intelligence. Although their martial arts system is very diverse, they have indeed practiced martial arts. Soon the 2 arrived in Lianhu County. Just as they stepped into the jurisdiction of Lianhu County, the man witnessed a shocking scene. Several evil martial artists were binding the civilian women in the county together to toy with them. Seeing such audacious actions, the man immediately made up his mind. This place really needs to establish a branch of the imperial city to oversee these evil martial artists. Then he walked straight towards several people. I still need to confirm one thing with you. Are you officials? And what about these bound people? Are they really the so-called criminals? Warriors ahead did not want to pay attention to this meddlesome boy, and immediately took out a dart. Without hesitation, he threw it towards the man ahead. Threw it over. The man, however, simply reached out with one hand and caught the flying hidden weapon. In the next moment, he turned the blade of the weapon and fiercely threw it forward. Demonic, wide, absolute fast sword style. With one strike, he easily killed the bald man who attacked him. This scene shocked the remaining 4 warriors around, who quickly became alert. Not bad with your skills. Which martial arts school did this little guy study at? We might know each other. Don't harm your own people. One of them drew a long sword and slowly stepped forward. His speed was quite fast as well. Which martial arts style did you just use? The man directly pulled out the long sword in his hand. No need to sign up. We are not on the same side. In an instant, a flash of sword light passed over the head of the previous warrior. When the sword light disappeared, the man had already been split in 2 by this sword light. Seeing this scene, the few people behind had no idea what to do. The man also did not intend to give them a chance to react. Took a step forward, as if crossing a vast distance. Then the fast sword in the realm of magic flashed around the bodies of several people in an instant. In just a moment, they were already separated into corpses. In the span of a breath, the man directly dealt with the bully who had been dominating Lianshui County for a long time, in a ruthless manner. This left the surrounding villagers extremely shocked, falling into a deathly silence. It took a while for them to react, and they hurriedly rushed forward to rescue the bound woman. Then they continuously thanked the man who saved them. After the man responded to the thanks, he stared intently at the servant behind him. Where is the Mantis sect? The servant, in shock, pointed towards a courtyard. It's over there. At this moment, the man did not hesitate and walked straight towards the courtyard with his sword. Upon arriving at the Mantis sect, he did not stop and kicked the front door. With a loud bang, the door was kicked open by the man. However, within the sect stood countless fierce-eyed warriors. The self-proclaimed king never expected that this young kid in front of him would bring his imperial dream to an end. Seeing the old man slowly walking down towards the boy ahead, dared to kill my sect's people. The man, however, was just quietly observing the person in front of him. He even dared to wear the dragon robe that only the emperor could wear. Could it be that he has already planned a rebellion? The old man had already walked down and ordered, "Don't interfere. I will deal with this myself, with my imperial sword. I haven't tasted human blood in a long time. Kid, even if you want to be a hero, why must you act on my territory? Our kind of power is not something a little brat like you can provoke." To rise up, the man, however, calmly asked the person in front of him, "What is your name?" Daring to wear the dragon robe. After the old man was exposed, he no longer pretended to be a dying person. "What use is it to know my title?" At this moment, the man actually walked to the center of the crowd. "I need to know your name. Otherwise, how can I report my achievements?" The old man immediately gritted his teeth. "You brat, still dare to speak so arrogantly here." In the next moment, he transformed into a streak of light and charged straight ahead. "Kid, go die." Watching the incoming attack from the opponent, the man was actually stunned in place. Is he using a fast sword? Could it be that he has grown too fast during this time? I can actually see the trajectory of his sword. Then, the man slashed straight at the incoming attack with his sword, directly blocking the attack. The old man who received this sword was directly sent flying dozens of meters away. Looking at the smoking long sword in his hand, the old man was extremely shocked. What kind of monster is he? Such great strength. Seeing the situation is not good, the old man immediately signaled to his subordinates around him The surrounding subordinates immediately understood. One after another drew their weapons. With a command from the old man, the surrounding warriors rushed forward to surround the man. Then they all began to slash at the man from all sides. At this moment, the man was completely unperturbed. He immediately used the technique, close distance, far horizon, easily dodging the attacks from all around. Then he picked up the long sword in his hand and counterattacked the surrounding warriors. After a few breaths, the man's counterattacks became increasingly smooth. The warriors surrounding him all showed expressions of terror. Where on earth did this expert come from? Under constant offense and defense, the man gradually comprehended new techniques. I can actually see the trajectory of the sword, the final landing points of their weapon attacks. This made it even smoother for the man to dodge these attacks. Then he directly used his body technique to break out of the encirclement of these warriors. Then he seized the opportunity to transform into a streak of flow. Light once again passed through the crowd, and the long sword in his hand did not pause at all. The sword light continuously flowed over these people. When the last sword fell, the man also arrived behind the old man. At this moment, countless screams erupted from behind the man. Blood sprayed everywhere. Seeing this scene, the old man kept retreating backwards. What kind of monster are you? But the man gave the old man no chance to react. His body soared into the air again. The long sword struck straight down towards the old man. With just this one sword, it directly cleaved a mark into the entire ground. The old man, without any reaction at all, was split in two by it. Then the body fell heavily onto the shattered floor. At this time, the man slowly spoke to the few remaining people behind him. Today I am going to wipe out your Mantis sect. The few remaining people suddenly turned pale with fear, crying out that this guy is simply a madman. Quickly go get the blood flame demon sword. Otherwise, we will all die. Hearing this immediately caught the man's attention. Blood, flame, demon sword. Your mastermind is actually the blood flame demon sect. At this moment, the few dared not answer the man's question. They could only look at him in terror. The man did not hesitate to move past, and directly grabbed one person's neck. Answer my question. In the face of life and death crisis, that person had no choice but to answer yes. That's right, he should be sleeping in another courtyard now. The man immediately became puzzled. If he is really the blood flame demon sword while sleeping, it would be impossible not to notice such a big commotion. The next moment, a long sword came straight at the man. The man, already on guard, immediately turned around, wielding his weapon to block the attack. At this time, a figure also climbed over the wall from behind, floating over the man. It slowly landed next to the long sword that had just been knocked away. After grasping the long sword in hand, it slowly turned to look at the man. It turned out to be a little guy with some skills. I didn't expect to be able to block my attack. Seeing this person, the man's pupils instantly widened. This person's hair was almost entirely turning black. Definitely the top expert of the blood flame demon sect.